So, Lawrence, welcome to the Soul Sync podcast. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on such a beautiful sunny day.
It is a sunny day in January. It's very nice, and it's been very nice for quite a few days now. I'm almost sort of getting my sort of summer spring vibes on too early, one might say. So, it's lovely to have you on the podcast. How I have come across you is kind of via this social media world where we've never met in person. I will say I'd love to meet you in person, but you do a lot for your spiritualist church, and it seems to me to be, a number of kind of quite groundbreaking things for what I consider spiritualist churches generally do, because you do a lot of online work. But for people who haven't come across you before, then, Lawrence, tell us a bit about you and your background.
Okay. I was very fortunate to have been brought up with a spiritualist influence. My mother, who was a night nurse at the local hospital, and as is very common, people are led into spiritualism, psychism, and it's people that work very closely in the aura of others. So we have nurses, doctors, dentists,
Mm.
hairdressers, nail technicians. It's that closeness that starts to, bring about questions. And fortunately, right next door to the hospital was our local spiritualist church.
As you do.
As you do, just handy that, isn't it?
It is.
So my mother first started attending, and I was at that age where I couldn't be left at home alone. Whatever I would have got up to, I will never know, which is a shame because it's denied me that experience of whatever. So I would go along with my mother. Then my father, who was ex-army, very nice guy, worked very hard, and he was like, no, not having anything to do with that. He ended up ordained as a spiritualist minister,
Oh, wow.
as, as things happen. But my background was I was brought up in that household where it was still being investigated. And I must say, of the time, it was being investigated in an educational field. Do you know what I mean? Go much more in depth into things to find out. I was
Yes.
also very fortunate that I sat in circle at a very young age, between the ages of 11 and 15. And
Wow.
at the time, these were what we lovingly call the old school mediums of the day. They were
The
quite,
greats.
yeah, they were quite fearsome, some of them, which I don't have a problem with because I was brought up in that institution. So I had my inception into the world of spiritualism. Obviously, then come 16, I started looking at career and I was moving away then. I was running bars and clubs in the UK and abroad and just living my life. But that seed had been sown. So
Hmm.
I
When you
got to,
did it at 11 years old,
yeah.
just to ask, I'm trying to picture myself at 11 years old, and what was that like for you? Kind of, was it because I imagine, you don't have 11 years old, you're kind of at that age where you're just about to start high school. If anything, you're probably getting more in your head than ever before rather than necessarily with the way you feel. You're at that peer age where, oh, there's all sorts of playground antics at that age. So what
Yeah.
was that like?
You just summed it up incredibly well, actually, because I do remember vividly that a lot of the things that were in my head were of me. I always remember we sat with a wonderful two couples. They were twin sisters, and they had really good old-fashioned home circle. And I was sat there and I just thought, I can see a knight in shining armor. Well, I've been watching things like, Camelot and King Arthur's Court.
Mm.
So I'm
Mm.
thinking, this is me. But I just said, she said, did you see anything? I said, yeah, I saw a knight in shining armor. And the response was brilliant. She said, that is my guide. So I thought, oh, that's
Hang on a
interesting.
minute. Yes.
Yeah, well, that is really interesting. But it goes to show something that we battle and struggle with on our development path. the very common question is, what is me and what is spirit? Well,
It's the
I'm
million
very
dollar question, that, Lawrence. It's the one
in,
I've been. It took me 3 years to work that out.
indeed. I am still evolving this thought process. This is one of the wonderful things I love in spiritualism, that you can evolve things. You can get an idea, you can get that germ of the information, and you can work with that with the assistance of spirit and develop that. Now, I get little things in my head which will reside there for a few months and dictate what I'm doing and what I'm thinking
Oh,
about.
me too. Many of them.
I call them my little thoughts. They run around going, ah.
Yes.
But the one currently, and this has come out of development circles, both for mediumship and psychism that we run here, is this disassociation that we have with the spirit.
Hmm.
And you can hear it, you can pick it up in people's language. Phrases like, I'm waiting for spirit to bring me something, or spirit are going to show me
Hmm.
this. And it's this disassociation, to me, my
I really get that. And it's you. Even the act of saying I'm going to sit in the power, um, is making me not the power. And I'm probably at this point in because obviously I could already tell you're a fantastic teacher just by what you're saying. But it's taken me, even now, I'm still saying, oh, you'd laugh, Lawrence. If you could see, let me take it off my screen. I've got this, my reminder to
yeah,
sit in the power, and I've got a few of them all over the house. But even the act of saying that, there's something in that, isn't there?
you bring a barrier in.
You do, yeah. Resistance.
Yeah, you bring this barrier in. Now, our basic human makeup is that we are always looking for somebody to blame or somebody to save us.
Yes.
And I always say that person is the person that looks at you back from the mirror.
Mm.
You
If
know?
one can even look in the mirror, it's
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
sometimes it can be difficult, can't it?
Well, especially early in the morning, when you get to a certain age, you avoid mirrors. Um,
Well, I don't know what that says about me. I've just had a couple put up over the Christmas period. Not that I'm obsessed with the way I look. So, how do you then, with your thought process, the way that it's evolved, how do you try to get someone to understand that the spirit is all around them? Because it's still a concept I struggle with. I was even saying to my um, good friend Donna yesterday, oh, I need to get back to sitting in the power. I haven't done it over the Christmas period. I haven't felt the spirit world around me. Well, it's not because they're not around me. It's just that my, awareness is it's too much in the human, physical world.
yeah. And also, it's remembering that what we go looking for is what we find.
Yes, expectations.
Yeah. It does make I have to be on social media on behalf of the church and my own works. But
I like the way you say that, almost like it's not a burning desire of yours, Lawrence. It's more of
it
a have to rather than a want to.
it's like anything, it's a tool.
It is a tool. Yes, I do agree
And
with that.
this again ties in nicely with the development status of people. And especially in our psychic classes, that I will introduce various tools to use. But you ask any of my students, and they will just repeat me verbatim, which is wonderful. A tool is only that. You do not invest your power, your confidence, your abilities into that, because you will
Mm.
then end up going, well, I can't work because I haven't got my cards with me. Well, that's utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. It is a tool. It's to distract the thinking, logical mind. And going back
Yes.
to your earlier question here on how do you do that, I practice very much working with people on awareness exercises. And one of the basic and one of the easiest ones to do, if I may use this,
Yes, please do.
is all right, I'm sat here now in my church, which is being de-Christmased. Is that a word?
It
Um,
is. I can see there's still some remnants of it in the background, some very
yes,
beautiful remnants.
the tree is still there, but all the other thing. Anyway, but when you're working with your awareness, because I used to get told in circle, think of nothing and talk to the spirit. And that brought in a,
Much easier said than done, isn't it?
but it brought in a conflict to me. I'm like, but I need to think to talk. So how the hell? What do you do? So one of the basic awareness lessons I teach everybody is just sit in here, sit in wherever you are, and just in your mind's eye, in the edge of your peripheral vision, you just go around the room and you note things. So I can note the picture on the wall over there. I can note obviously the tree. I can note the windows. I can note the sun is over to that side. I can note the lights in the sea. But I'm not fixating, I'm not jumping to.
Hmm.
That's the
Yes, it's
trick.
subtle.
Yeah, that's the trick. It's just there. And that thought goes through. It's like a moving train. It just passes through your consciousness. I'm not going, oh, there's a picture. Oh, there's a tree. Oh, there's lights. Oh, look at the sun.
There's fluidity to it, isn't there, in the way you're doing that?
Exactly. And bringing that fluidity in, to me, is a very essential key to our evidential mediumship techniques,
Mm,
because we do tend to jump from um, information to information to information.
yes.
Now, I'm a great believer. Okay, I will draw your attention. That's our camera where we stream our live services from. All right. So I could just say, as a medium being shown something, oh, there's a camera in the room. I want to unfold that story. Oh, there's this camera in the roof. Oh, what's the story behind that? Oh, well, in 2020, obviously, with the lockdowns, we started to promote our online works. And we had a local firming who were based about 3 miles from us. And actually, they were very, very helpful in installing the equipment. We did have to do a few adjustments, but on the whole, they were very good. And testimony, they are still existing today as a bit. So do you see, you're pulling out this story
Mm.
of something. And as I say, we will we because we go in a very nervous and a very self-centered way, and I don't mean that nastily, it's not. We are concerned that we need to get the evidence. And this is because this is the way we're taught. You know, you
Well, we're
see,
so concerned about the person in front of us, that there's no concern a lot of time really for the spirit person, is it? Because I know myself, and it's still something that I is a challenge that I have to work with on my mediumship. Is I'm so used to being well, I've got ADHD brain, so I didn't even realize I would mask people against people and sort of kind of super analyze the sitter in front of me all the while longer, completely breaking the link with the spirit world. Then I went for this other stage where, as soon as I get a bit of evidence, the first thing it would do is go up into my head, and I would then go round and it would get connected to things, and I wouldn't even realize I'm doing it. It would just happen
mm,
default. Then I kind of come through that stage to then, oh God, it's a journey, isn't it? That's the thing. It's
yeah.
you go through these different stages with your mediumship. But and one thing that's always keeps striking me at the moment is I feel like I'm spending the second half of my life unlearning everything I've learnt in the first half, Lawrence. Is that quite common in your
Very.
world?
It's not so much an unlearning, because before the unlearning comes the realization. And
Yes.
that is the crucial part. What you've just described there, you get something straight up in your head. That's what we do. You know, I go out here today and I go to walk down the town. When I get to the corner of the road, I'm going to look. Actually, I'm saying that. I've found myself a few times just wandering out, and I'm like, I've really got to work on that. But I've got to look and assess and assimilate, because that's what we do.
Mm.
Somebody will say something to me, and I will take that in, digest, assimilate, and come up with a response. Now, when we're working of the spirit, actually, our mind is the thing that we really need to set back. This is why those little exercises like the awareness really do pay off. And it's not going to happen overnight. It will not happen
Mm.
overnight. And it is not suitable for everybody. And that's fine. But the awareness just teaches you to let things slip through. So the more you work with that and the more you can just, you're aware, I'm aware of everything in this church here, but I'm not engaging with anything.
Mm.
I could look at that. I've just done that. I've just been aware of everything and everything's passed through. Now I can go to it with what I call our monkey mind and go, oh, right, that's the notice. We put out every month a little descriptor of historic figures within the movement, and that needs changing for the new year. The tree stuff needs to go away. The windows need cleaning, as always. There's something on the floor over there which is really irritating my OCD brain, so that's going to go in a minute. Do you see the difference? Because I'm
I notice that you run a very good ship there. Everything is your OCD is what keeps a fantastic operation running in that church. But yes, joking to one side, I get that, and it's oh god, to get control of the monkey mind. Yeah, I first became aware of that concept when I was must have been about 23, 24, and it really, really helped me when I read that book, a book called The Chimp Paradox. And because again, I've got ADHD, bro, my mind is my superpower, but it can also trip me up. And it took me a very long time to even realize that you can control your thoughts to
Mm,
some degree. And you can have it. I didn't even realize for a long time that a lot of my thinking was fear based rather
oh yeah.
than thoughts based in love. So, and I think this is the journey of a medium is, and I believe, I agree in what you said because I think it is a calling and I think it's something that is a calling because of how much growth you have to go through yourself in order to do it. And I've asked myself many times, why do I want to keep doing mediumship? And it's like, well, I just keep being drawn back to it. And I kind of I have a knowing within me that that's what I meant to do. My granddad was a medium, you see, Lawrence, for years. I kind of grew up around it. Like he would always be doing readings and stuff. But I was more interested in the tarot cards and my love life and the freaky goings on in the house, the paranormal, the plant pot spinning. So and then he passed away. I'd never really asked him any questions about mediumship until that point. But I won't because the listeners have probably heard this story about God knows how many times. So I wanted to ask you then, because when before we got recording this episode, we're coming to record this today on the 2nd of January, and it's at that point of the year where I can't help but look back, and I can't help but sit here on the edge of my seat, Lawrence, in anticipation about what the year will bring. And I'm actually sat here in my diary thinking about what am I wanting to manifest this year. So on that very subject, let's talk about the past and the future. I feel
Mm.
like I want to get my tarot cards out just saying that.
It's only a tool.
It's only a tool,
Only a
exactly.
tool.
Do
You do
not
not
surrender your
invest.
power.
You do not. We give away our power like mad.
We do.
We
I
give it
agree.
away here, there, everywhere, and then waiting for other people to do our work for us. And it's like, we're going to have a long wait. Anyway,
Exactly.
yeah, what's gone, what's to come? Interest. Wouldn't it be wonderful in one regard for our human mind to know exactly what's coming up?
Yes.
But for our spiritual mind, it's that relaxing into the trust. And you know what? Whatever's going to come up, it's going to be. I know it sounds really fey and wishy-washy, but it's not. Because when we work
Mm.
on that deeper level of understanding, not every lesson's going to come wrapped in bows and with puppies. Everything is a lesson.
Mm.
So when we come up against challenging times, one of the things that I do is, okay, what is this teaching me? What is this saying about me? Why is this challenging me?
Mm.
And often, if it's interpersonal things and issues arising from that, quite often, when I look at it in that light, I just think, well, do you know what, Lauren? Actually, it's nothing. You know what it's like. We see a post from somebody, and we sit there going,
Oh yeah, we get you can there's well, it was on that point. So this happened to me this year. This year was quite transformative in a few ways, but because my background was about 9 years ago, I started my own business. And in those very early days, what made me successful and be able to grow it to from absolute nothing but my savings to multi-million pound level was the trust in myself of knowing that it was going to work out and it was going to be great and the trust in the process. Then what happened was I started trying to control everything because things were sort of going out of control. And the more I tried to control things, nearly the whole thing fell apart, to be quite honest with you. And this year, I finally realised it was quite funny. I basically went on a 7 day mediumship course, and my business could not have been in a more stressful place. It was like World War III in some regards. And it was so overwhelming that it forced me into the present moment, probably like I've never been forced before, because anything other than that was overwhelming. But I felt the lesson from that week was to just go with the flow of life and just trust in knowing that what's meant to be will be. But
yeah,
that's very hard to get to that point because that means you have to surrender control.
it's all about personal unfoldment. And I will go out on a limb here and just say everything we do has to come from a personal level. If we hear something and it resonates with us, why does that resonate? If we going back to if we see something and we get that, why is it doing that? Why am I responding that way? I have
Mhm.
OCD and how do I put this nicely? I can be a bit of a control monkey as well. Um,
Oh, me
people that
too.
people that know me are probably laughing, going, yeah, and some. I was very fortunate to go and work abroad again last year now. I have to get used to saying that, don't we?
Yeah.
And handing over the control of the church to others, I found really hard. Shutting is not an option.
Mm.
We opened whenever we could during 2020. In fact, we did open up actually a week early. I'd misread something. I said, don't tell anybody. And they said, Lawrence, you've just streamed it out live on Facebook. And I went, oh, don't, don't say anything. Anyway, and the things were coming up in me as I'm getting ready to uh, be out of the country for 5 days. And obviously, one of the big things, apart from who's looking after my cats, was um, what about the church? And I literally talking to myself out loud saying, Lawrence, nobody will do it the way you do it. And do you know what? That's fine. And that
I
was,
just have to be at ease with that.
uh, yeah, it was quite a transformative moment for me because, as I say, bring it back to me,
Mm.
and I'm thinking, why am I getting so stressed out about not being here for a 1 hour service?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, Mr. OCD control monkey, nobody can do it as good as me. I've got to do it all. If I don't do it all, it will be wrong. And what a load of tosh.
It's a
What?
kind of belief that you've got. I guess we have a lot of these kind of beliefs, and I know I do. And I really have to. You made many good points there. You know, even the kind of consciousness of asking questions about, okay, I feel this way, I'm feeling this emotion, questioning why am I feeling that, asking deeper questions, all of this kind of, real reflective stuff. But to then then start questioning beliefs that you have. Why am I feeling this way? That's sort of the real personal work that needs to be done, isn't it? Because and those are hard things to sometimes, because it's that process of going, okay, why am I feeling that? Okay, I'm feeling that because of that. Okay, why am I feeling that? And going deeper and deeper and deeper.
And the process is incredibly similar to what I teach with evidential mediumship. I know this works. I've seen it, I've done it myself, and I've seen others do it. You can evolve a whole message from somebody by the very first thing you're shown.
Mm.
You can unpack that. And I've seen
How?
it.
How?
By asking why, by getting into that
Mm.
neutral state of not allowing the brain to interpret. Why? 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 Because, as I say, we have this tendency, we hop, skip, and jump. Oh, they're
Mm.
showing me a picture. Oh, they're showing me a tree. Oh, they're showing me purple curtains. They are purple, by the way, not black, so don't worry, it's not that sort of church.
Fabulous to
Um,
me.
all right, the picture you can just see there. So,
Mm.
all right, that's a picture. That's a picture of Jesus with the world in his hands. That's quite nice. Where did that come from? Oh, well, I saw that online. There's an artist in America called Greg Olson, and I really love his work. It's very Christian based, but he blends in today's world with it. He's a very clever artist, very gifted artist, and I believe all these gifts and abilities and inspiration is all our interaction with spirits. And
Mm.
I saw this painting and I thought, I love that painting and I cannot justify the amount of money it cost to buy the print. Simple as that. Sadly, a few months down the line, a very good friend of mine, her husband passed the spirit and asked me to take the service. And I said, of course I will. And if I'm looking after people that I know or belong to the church, I don't put a fee in. But I
Mhm.
do ask, is this a prepaid plan? Because sometimes in the prepaid plan, the money is there for the service. And she
Yeah.
said, yes, it is. And I went, oh, okay, I will take it then because this is all part and parcel of the insurance. If I don't take it, the undertaker pockets it, simple as that. So how much is it? And guess what? It was exactly the price of buying that picture.
Oh, how funny.
So do you see, just from that picture, there is this whole story there that is
Yeah.
known by the communicator and is also known by the sitter.
Well,
And
it's
our,
the why as well that's the interesting bit, isn't it? It's otherwise you just, oh, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. It's the why, I guess, that brings the personality of the communicator, isn't it, as well?
when we engage with the why, we are getting into that conversational state with spirit. When we hop, skip, and jump, we are then putting in that division. Right, you show me a
Mm.
treat. Next. Oh yeah. Lectern. Next. Oh yeah. Curtains. Next. And that's not how we converse with people. Well, at
It's
least I
not.
hope not.
But it goes back, doesn't it, to even the way that I know that, when I'm doing mediumship, I think sometimes we stop to, to even be really conscious of the fact that, we are talking to a real person here, and
Yeah,
if we've just got a list of, tell me your name, tell me your date of birth, tell me whatever it might be, that person. And I believe it takes a lot of effort for the spirit world to come through as well. And you think they've got this one golden opportunity to come through the medium, whoever they've picked, and then they're not able to get any of the essence of the message across because it just turns into kind of a fishing for evidence expedition where, and I think that's, quality of mediumship, like the days of the old that you were talking about, and how mediumship was done back then. It's, we live in a very transactional world now, don't we?
yeah. But even then, with as I say, the old school mediums, there was still this rigid structure within our training. Now, I very fortunate. I get invited to teach and ask back, so it can't be that bad. Um, but I'm very much of just blending with this. When I say just, it's it's taken me 60 something years to learn this. So,
I can imagine.
but blending with the spirit and not going in with this list of wants, but we are taught. I mean, we see so many courses advertised these days of how to do this, how to do that, how to do that. I'm not being dismissive because there is always room for training and improvement, but it's almost like these courses are saying how we're going to whip the spirit world into giving us better evidence, rather
Yes.
than actually, what are we doing about the mediums? Now, on this looking back, looking forward thought, in my opinion, and the actual development of the medium has been neglected.
I agree.
The techniques, it's like driving a car. You know, you can teach anybody to go out and drive a car. It's a skill set. Very similar with mediumship. You can just teach, it's a skill set. And we've got so hooked on the phenomena of mediumship
Mm,
that we've neglected the deeper esoteric meaning to it. Not only to the sitter, not only to the communicator, but I think more importantly to the medium, the vessel. This
mm.
is an area that I would like to see. We are running a 6 session course here, if I can put a plug in. But it's just
Yes,
to
please
back
do.
up. It's not a plug, it's just an example. To back up the development of the medium. Now, we've got 2 sessions with a gentleman called Stephen Mager, who's got a PhD in philosophy. And he's going right into the roots of philosophy, the Hermetic
Mm.
principles, and back further still. So we've got to understand, because it's a very nice word to use, isn't it? Philosophy. We're going to do the philosophy. What does that mean? You know,
Do you know what? It sounds bloody interesting, I've got to say. And going into that deeper level, because you're right, a lot of the teaching now is just based on technique, which I get lost on technique because all technique does is put you back in your head again.
yeah. And also, we get people who I've had instances here where I've said no to people coming on training days because I said last week you were doing energy healing, this week you want to do mediumship. I think you really need to sit down and decide what you want and how best to develop that before you go jumping here, there, and everywhere and just confusing yourself.
Yeah.
But going back to it's the legacy course, we call it. It was spirit inspired. And when went for a name, I got legacy. And my first thought was, well, I'm not dying, am I? It's not a
Ah.
way of saying ta-ta Lawrence to the world, but no, apparently not. So we have 2 sessions with Stephen, and there's work to do in between personal. And I keep saying to people, this is not about mediumship. This is not you standing there giving messages. This is developing you as the person. So then we've got 2 sessions with David Powell, who's wonderful, wonderful healer medium from around the south coast, not far from us. And he'll be working on the healing link between our mediumship for
Mm.
the sitter, for the spirit, and for ourselves. And then to round it off, there's 2 sessions with Lindsay Percival, who holds qualifications in psychology. And that
Mm.
will be working on the psychology of the medium, including looking at our shadow cells, looking at our spiritual bypassing. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Yeah.
I feel like I want to unpack it all with you now. I feel like I want to ask. I guess you even just mentioned there the shadow self. What are you trying to help, the individual who comes on this course to overcome or to look at?
I used to be a trainer with a hotel group, and we had this adage of I see, I forget, I hear, I understand, I do, I comprehend
Hmm.
all the different levels of understanding. And we do see this quite a lot. Not everybody, when I talk about things that may be challenging for some people, I don't lump everybody in the same basket. But what I do see a lot of is what I call the 90-minute spiritualists.
Tell us more about that.
Well, you do see this both in congregations and sadly on platform and in today's world online.
Mhm.
So if my maths is not that quick enough to work out how many hours there are in a week, but it's quite a lot.
Um, I could tell you that instantly by the power of my mind. Only joking, the calculator. 168, Lawrence.
Thank you. So we have 168 hours in a week. All right.
Hmm.
If we take off the sleep hours, that brings it down to say about 95.
Mhm.
And during that 95, we just switch on to being this spiritual being, love and light, namaste, here I am, I'm going to bring you messages. And you note the phraseology. We can learn an awful lot if we learn how to listen. If we listen to how people put things, how they promote whatever, you can learn an awful lot. You can learn a much deeper understanding. That's because you're conditioning yourself to look deeper than just the superficial and just the wordage.
Mm.
We see people, I'm online tonight, please come and support me. I love that phrase. I'm like, well, how about supporting the spirit world? How about supporting the miracle that we
Mm.
perform every single time we bring through a credible communication from somebody who is dead?
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. I agree with you.
Yeah. So the 90-minute spiritualists, and it's because of our world, we've got instant gratification for everything, haven't we, online now? We can go on Amazon. I've just ordered something off Amazon and I've got the option of getting it today. Well, I don't need the light bulb today. I just need it by the phone. So I'm quite happy to wait. But that service has been offered because today's world is want now. Instant coffee, instant tea, instant sauces, instant mash, because everything's got to be now, now, now.
Mm.
That will bleed naturally into our development of our evidential mediumship. And remember, evidential mediumship is only one slither of the pie.
Yes.
It's the one that has the attention. People come to me and say, oh, I want to be a medium. And I go, really? Well, what sort of medium do you want to be, first of all? Because we have our inspirational, we have our healing mediums, we have our philosophical medium, we have all sorts of mediums.
Mm.
And I'm a bit naughty because I know what they're saying, but I just want to make them think of it. And they say, oh, doing the messages. And I said, oh, so you want to give up 45 of 52 Sundays in the year, you're going to miss out on family dues, a lovely sunny afternoon where you could quite happily, we live on the coast here, so Pool Key has got beautiful views and every other building is a bar. So, you can have a wonderful
Ah.
afternoon down there. Monday's very quiet in Poole, but and another lovely Sunday afternoon down there. But you touched on this earlier, asking yourself why. And
Mm.
again, if we approach that and the same techniques as we do with our self-development and our mediumistic development of why. It's like peeling an onion.
Do
Why?
you know what? It's a really good way of looking at it. And again, I'm all about simplicity these days. I spent so long with people saying, okay, to get in your power, you use this technique, this technique, this technique. If anything, the technique aspect of it is probably what held me up in my development for so long. But that why think it's funny, isn't it? In my human life, doing recruitment all the time, what do I train my young salespeople to say? Why does the person want that job? Are they looking? Why? But then I go to do my mediumship and I forget that word even exists,
Mm. Oh yeah,
Lawrence. You know, I use it in my everyday life every day, and I'm even sat there training other people. But when it comes to my mediumship, oh, I've got a light bulb. That's it.
yeah,
Reading done, Lawrence.
yeah.
But it's a very, very, very wise word indeed. You know.
We bring, I see this time and time again with the evidential mediumship. People bring pressure on themselves. They invite pressure on themselves. As our interesting calculation, in 1 week there's 95 hours. If you are working as an evidential medium, you may be doing a 45-minute session. In the grand
Mm.
scheme of things, that is not a great percentage.
Yes.
But we bring this I'm working tonight. Please, please be there again. The disassociation. Please be there. They're in you. You're in them.
Mm.
You cannot be where spirit is absent. It's the,
Sitting in the car park praying, please come
oh,
through, please.
I want names. I want addresses. I want dates of birth. And we do all this, and we bring this enormous pressure to bear on us, which is naturally going to affect the quality of our work.
Most definitely.
Because to me, you have two visions. You have a mill pond, beautiful mill pond, grassy banks running down to it. There's a willow tree with the branches just gently drifting in the water, perfectly flat, perfectly calm. You walk to the edge and you look in and you see your reflection. That's the
Mm.
state of mind we want when we're working with the spirit. What we tend to
Mm.
do is, right, this mill pond has got to be really big. It's got to be this size. The willow tree's got to be over there. The mill's got to be there running. There's got to be ducks. You can't have a mill pond
Mm.
without a duck. Um, we've got to have all this. So by the time we get to the water's edge, that water is all like that with our thoughts. And
Turbulent as hell.
yeah, and we're not going to see Jack looking into that.
Do you know, it's again, it goes back to the simplicity of it is what makes, I think, mediumship very, very hard. Is because in every other aspect of our lives, we don't expect things to come easy. That's not even the way we're taught. We're taught at school, you've got to work hard, try hard, be the best you can be. You've got to go out there, really work to get your career going. And, you couldn't have social media screaming in your face more. Work hard, do better, be more. And it's, and that trying is what ultimately is my biggest problem with my mediumship. My calling, I know, is to be a platform medium. Don't. I just know I've got the personality for it, but I've never yet graced the platform in training environments. I have, but I know that is where I need to be. I'm going off on a massive tangent,
No, that's
as I
fine.
normally do on this podcast. But yeah, it's the simplicity that makes it tricky, and I do believe that.
It is. And also, another factor that I don't hear discussed enough is the sitter's comprehension, because we want to mold that message into a format and a form that makes sense to us.
Yes.
Because that is perfect. This is how we construct a sentence. This is how we construct a statement. So
Hmm.
on when we're working with the evidential side, I'll give you a wonderful example. There was a gentleman working on the platform once, and he kept saying to the sitter, he's got a salmon. And the sitter's going, means nothing. That he's holding this salmon. I don't understand it. But he is. And you see this in mediums. We sometimes take it personally that we have got to get this over to the sitter. It becomes us rather than spirit led. And he's saying, but he's got this salmon. And I've interjected and I said, what exactly are you seeing? He said, well, there's a fish. And the sitter went, that's his surname. So we
Yeah.
continually do that. We do that with our evidence because we make it into something that we can understand. But do you know what? At the end of the day, it's not our message.
No,
I
it's
had a
not.
wonderful example the other night in the Den. Now, when I talk about myself, it's not look at me, or I'm not like that. I'm a very, I don't do that.
Grounded person.
I try to be grounded. But see, and again, there you go. I try to be grounded. I've got to watch myself, and that's inviting failure. Yes, I
Yes, and it's also implying that you're not it most of the time, or
exactly.
it's an effort for you to remain grounded.
Yeah, so it is. It's being conscious of what we say. Um, but anyway, in one of the links, there was a gentleman from Spirit connecting with his son, and the son um, presented challenges, shall we say, in communicating with him.
Hmm.
And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm not taking offense or anything. You have your belief, and that's wonderful. But the cincher was the father in spirit was showing a young boy. And as he showed the young boy, it's like the father's pride was so overwhelming. It was
Mm.
tangible. And I relayed this. I said, he's bringing forward a young child who's on the earth plane. And his pride, he is just so proud and so emotional. And the guy said, yeah, he has his name. He was named after him.
Oh.
Now, as a medium, afterwards, because what we do as mediums, we're really good at doing this. We do a dem or we do a sitting, and then we come out looking at everything that we've done wrong
Hmm.
and everything that we've missed. I went, God, I wish I'd got that the boy was named after him. But actually, it wasn't needed. The sitter understood it perfectly. The energy of wanting to say, oh, he's bringing forward his grandson who bears his name, is my ego talking
Mm.
and nothing more. Now, people will say, oh, no, it's to be precise. Well, how precise do you need to be?
Yes.
In another sitting, I described this gentleman, this is a one-on-one, and I described this father to the sitter, and they went, yeah, I understand that. Has he got a name? And I said, well, when you were 15, sat there watching Was, every time your dad walked in the room, did you say, what's your name?
Yeah.
So why are you doing that now? If you
Yeah.
understand that to be your father, then let's go with it. You know, there's
Would
not
you say that because I feel that the how do you judge a the quality of one's mediumship? Surely the quality must be not in the evidence, but in the way it touches the sitter and how they feel.
exactly. We strive to bring that connection with the sitter and the spirit through.
Mm.
I've heard it a few times in demonstrations from various mediums where the sitter is, I can feel them. You know what?
Mm.
To me, that's job done. You can,
I've had a few readings like that that have really touched me because it felt like I was talking, having a conversation with my granddad, for instance, but they happen very few and far between.
exactly, exactly. Um, as I say, in this looking back, looking forward, last year was very tough for spiritualism on many levels. The rise in costs, for example, we do an exercise here every year with the utility bills, and total year's utility usage divided by the regular opening times gives you a rough idea what it costs to open the doors.
Hmm.
In 2020, it was £21. In last year, look at you used to saying that. Last year, that figure is £42.
Oh, wow.
So I'm using our figures here, but obviously I know that everywhere is facing
I
exactly.
bet you haven't doubled the size of your collection plate.
Um, we are fortunate. We are fortunate. We have a very good following here because we don't follow the same format week in, week out.
Do you
Now,
know what though? That's there's I don't find I go to spiritualist churches much, and you'd think, well, why not? And it's because I think so much of the service evolves around the message and the mediumship bit, but there's no philosophy or kind of what's the word I want to use? Sort of a
education.
prophecy, yeah, and education,
Education.
the, yeah, and I just find my spiritualist church it is a bit of a postcode lottery. I know that you know your one's beautiful and my one's lovely, but I just don't find the 2 hour service unless you get a
Really?
reading, you know, it's a bit naff.
Yeah, interesting. Unless you get a reading.
Which is terrible because the spirit should touch everyone in that room in some way.
We had a medium who was very competent, and the address was in trance.
Oh, I
And the
love that.
very first message was a daughter communicating with the father. And I kid you not, 30% of the church was in tears because of the emotion.
Mm,
Because of the emotion. But going back there, because we jumped, but that's fine. That's lovely. Last year and the years preceding that, spiritualism is struggling. It is struggling. Now, I know a few people go, no, it's not. We've done, oh, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. But in general, we are struggling. The average age of our congregations is into retirement years. The average
mm,
attendance is, I um, was invited to take a service. And when I got there, there were 6 people. And I went, oh God. I said, well, I've never been here before. They said, can't know I'm that bad. Why is there nobody here? And they said, no, this is what we normally get. And I'm like, so how the hell are you keeping going? You know,
mm.
spiritualism has been neglected over the last 30, 40 years
Why?
because we have this unbalanced reliance on the phenomena of messages.
Mm,
And this reflects, now, this actually happened to me and I have heard it. Well, that was a wonderful service, Lawrence. Thank you so much. And you get this phrase, and again, I don't mean to be offensive. It's just a phrase that people use a lot, and it just makes me wince, full of laughter and tears. Next week, we've got a really good medium. And I just sat there and I went, oh, really? Well, maybe I should come along next week and see what I'm missing then.
mm,
Because the whole, and if you look at the actual structure of our divine services, it's been pinched from the orthodoxy. If you look at an Orthodox church service and take the elements in succession, you
mm.
can apply that to the spiritualist divine service, exactly the same format. And there is this big build up to the message. And
Yes.
then goodbye, everybody. So this is what we've been
Mm.
hunting out.
The problem
Yeah.
is that the messages serve a point for
Mm,
the spirit world and a very important purpose of proving life after death. And if I hadn't have had God knows how many umpteenth messages, I probably wouldn't because I did not believe in mediumship easily, despite my granddad being a medium. I was very, I took a lot of convincing. Um, and I think to myself, how many years did I delay myself by? That's not a sign. No, that's not a sign.
yeah.
That's a coincidence.
Yes, I've
Um,
seen it 22 times today, but that means nothing.
yeah, but do you know what? It's interesting you say that because I've had a lot of thought processes in my own mind recently where I feel that we are doing a disservice to the spirit. Because why is the spirit coming through a lot of the time? They're coming through, first of all, yes, to prove life after death, but that is only like, a grain in the sand of potential of what the spirit can do
Mm.
to help us. And we need to evolve past that. That it serves a very important point. But even what you said about the beauty of that trance, every time I've seen trance done, well, every time I've seen it done correctly, it touches everyone in it touches everyone in the room. And if it doesn't touch the vast majority of people in the room, the intelligence of the spirit, then, maybe that's not trance coming through. That's the conclusion I've come to. But what I'm getting at with this is, I've often thought to myself, why am I so interested in platform mediumship? Because I want to redefine how it's done for a younger audience.
Brilliant.
Because I
Yeah,
think that the prophecy and how to live our lives here is one of the most fundamental things what the spirit is trying to help us with, and we're not giving them airtime.
yeah. Since 2020, the very nature of private sittings has changed, not only in my personal experiences, but also in many fellow mediums that I talk with, where people are going, yeah, 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 I know Granddad's alive, but what about me?
Mm.
Not in a selfish way, that you can bring this forward by a mixture of psychism and evidential. You can bring one thing again, touching on the trance. The trance is having this new revival, it seems, at the moment. Again, a lot of it is based on this very what's the nice word of putting this? A not understood way, because people have this idea that I'm going to sit here, spirit's going to knock me out. Again, the disassociation. Spirit's going to step in, knock me out, and they're going to do all the work and talk for me, and I'm going to come to at the end none the wiser. Well, that's complete and utter nonsense. Trance is a cooperation of the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the spirit, and the communicator.
It's really hard to get into the trance state. I found it to be because it's that complete surrender, and every time I get near that eclipse moment, it
Yeah, I do
just
the
goes
same.
again. And I could do
Yeah.
the trance maybe if I'm then comfortable with someone that I really know, but then put me in a room with new people, and I just can't get deep enough into that state. I guess because I could sit here all day asking you questions long because you're such an interesting person. What do we do to save spiritualism? What do we do to get it back to its former days of glory and beyond?
I
I've
have so
asked you the $1 million question, haven't
I
I?
have so many answers, and that's probably actually the answer. Don't be frightened to experiment. Don't be
Mm.
frightened to not challenge, but change the old order of things. Our first service here of the year is on Sunday the 11th, and the whole order of service is turned around. It's totally different. It is still a divine service, but it's going to be presented in a very different way, which came about as a conversation with a lovely lady in Holland who said, this age-old question, how, I don't like this question of how are we going to get youngsters in our church? Well, to me, that always smacks of nepotism. I,
Mm.
I'm sat here, come to me, young person,
Yes.
come to me. No, get off
We
your
need to be
butt.
going to them, yes.
Exactly. Get off your bum and go out and talk to them. And giving people something of interest, giving people things. And I said, I use the word education. Education is really paramount. We lack so much on using these opportunities to disseminate education.
Mm.
As I say, the first service of the year was based on one of the Lyceum nights, and this lady said, "Well, the orthodoxy of our church services don't appeal to the younger generation." And I said,
Mm.
"Oh, okay then." I said, "Come up with a service plan that you think would," and she did, and it's really good. So
I
you're
like the
going to do
fact
it.
it's different and it's interesting and it's, by having that variety, it would make me feel, oh God, I want to go. I don't want to miss out on, something that might be happening. So I want to ask you um, because we could talk all day. I want you to, and I want to say thank you to you because you're such a wise and kind person, and for all you do for spiritualism. It's great to have people like you out there doing things that are innovative as well and different. That's what we need to be bloody doing. If we're going to go to them, Lawrence.
Yeah.
So close your beautiful episode today with me on anything you like. A final thought, a pearl of wisdom. How would you like to close your episode?
For far too long, we've treated our connection with the spirit, A, with a distance, with a go-to. They go, we go to them, they come to us. Please stop doing that. They're here now and vital and exercising their will and their thoughts in and through our thoughts. And for years also, we've been going to spirit. So this huge wall here is the entire knowledge of the spirit world. Now, if you think the spirit world, that's everything that ever was, is, and could be. And what do? We go looking for that memory of what Aunt Bertha did with her drawers in the Second World War. And we're totally oblivious to the rest of us. There is so much interconnection that we can achieve if we stop going to the other world or this world or however you want to describe it with our shopping list, our wants. Talk. I will talk. I will sit there and talk. If anybody put a video in my lounge, I would probably be in an institution by now.
We need to get you on one of those live streams. But the beauty of that is that as I've found out, there's one of those every week with you, Lawrence, if people want to continue hearing your pearls of wisdom.
Indeed, on our Lyceum nights with different guests. But we can have that conversation not only with spirit incarnate as we are doing now, but spirit discarnate as well. When we learn to blend, when we learn to surrender, when we learn to open up, various things, like big thing, state of the world, and just think, what is your thoughts? But do you know what? When you get the responses, they're a revelation. They are thought-provoking. And that says to me that is an external source. Because it's not just confirming what I think is going to happen or what I think is the potential for a situation. You might get some huge curveball come in and go, wow, yeah, that's really interesting. That is, that's very insightful. But remembering also, we are linking in with the sum knowledge of everything. And within that are uncountable schools of thoughts. So what your school of thought may say about one thing, somebody else's will say something different. And do you know what? That's wonderful. That's not my guide's bigger than your guide. No, my guide said this. You're wrong. Because the minute we say if I say I'm right, I'm saying somebody else is wrong by default. So it's letting go of that ego, letting go of that self, letting go of all the emotional body reactions and just immersing. Because when we start to do that, that's how we change a world. We don't have the big one dramatic event. We change it person by person by person by person.
Chip by chip by chip.
Exactly.
Lawrence, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on to the Soul Sync.
No, thank you. I've loved it. Thank you so much.